Hello, everybody. Oh my gosh, y'all. Super late. Super late. And I do apologize. But this was bad timing, bad planning on my part. Okay, so here's the scoop. I don't want to get into all the excuses of why we changed from 10 a.m. to 10:30 and now it's almost 11 a.m. and we're just now going live. For those watching the replay, they're going to be like, "What are you even talking about?" I was just interviewed on a TV segment. Super fun. Super fun, right? We're having internet connection. There we go. Let me know if this is okay. Let me know if y'all can see me okay. Um, okay, it looks like we're good. It looks like we're good. Looks like we're live. Let me make sure. I don't even know where my phone is. There it is. Let me make sure we're good to go. If y'all are watching, tell me in the comments that you can hear me, you can see me, everything looks good. Okay. Okay. Okay, we're good. We're good. I see us. I hear us. Oh, no. I'm hearing us again. Okay. So, hello. Happy Taco Tuesday. We are here to talk about, first of all, why I'm late because again, I apologize. I was asked to be on a TV segment, which is super fun. I can't wait. It's going to come out on Saturday, and I'm going to share it with you. It's for a late night show here in Houston, and we were talking about podcasting, all things podcasting, which is super fun. But I had so many of the things wrong, and I understand why people have like PR people to handle these things because I'm terrible. I'm terrible at it. Terrible at it. I thought that it was going to be virtual. It was supposed to be in person. And so I felt bad. Their team was scrambling to make it happen, but we still made it work. So thank you, Anil and TV Houston. Super cool. I'm excited to share that whenever it happens. But that's why I'm late is I was very disorganized in the whole situation. But I knew that I needed to show up and we needed to talk about video podcasts because that is super, yeah. Hey, Lori, I'm so happy that you're here. You can see me, you can hear me. Awesome. Because yeah, all the things I had a bad Wi-Fi connection, which never happens. I had a lot of just issues all the way around. But hopefully it's going to be an awesome segment and you won't see any of the behind the scene things. But I know that y'all appreciate whenever I share what's going on behind the scenes. So I can't wait to kind of debrief and everything on what just happened today. But we are here to talk about video podcast. If you have listened to today's episode, you already know I get asked this question all the time. All the time about video podcast. People ask me at least once a week in our Facebook group, our DMs, and an email. Should I be doing all the things, all the where, all the places, all the time? But then I also get questions of, do I need to record my podcast? Let's pretend this was me recording my podcast behind the scenes. Do I need to record it like this on a regular basis and then take that audio and put it out there? Or should I have the video on and record myself while I'm doing my podcast? Or should I be streaming it live? There's a lot of nuances to having a video component of your podcast. And I mean, if you haven't listened to the episode, go listen to it because there's lots of great lessons in there. And I share pros and cons and all the things. But I know for the majority of you watching, you just want a direct answer. Do I need to have it? Do I need to have a video podcast? My answer is no if you are in the first 3 months, zero, you haven't launched your show at all, to 3 months of your podcast. No, you don't know. You're already trying to figure out, how do I edit my show? How do I upload it? What should I title it? What are my show notes going to look like? How do I market this thing? And I think that there's already so many things that you're trying to focus on when you're just getting started with your podcast that you don't also need to throw in the component of, oh, I have to look good on video. I have to do my hair, put my makeup on, not look like a hot mess express, when you could do all those things if you were just recording your podcast without video. So that's my gut reaction. If you are in the first 0 to 3 months of your podcast, no, you don't need a video podcast. The only exception would be for someone who has been going live, like they've been live streaming either on YouTube or Facebook for a really long time, and they feel super comfortable on camera, and they are just like, we're good. We're good to go. I'm just going to take this audio and turn it into a podcast. That is the exception. That is absolutely the exception. I can't talk today. But yeah, the thought of all the things that I do now, my 3rd year into this podcast journey, my first year, day one self would have said, that sounds absolutely overwhelming. And that is what most podcasters, whenever, if I were to tell you, yes, you need to be podcasting every week. You need to be live streaming your podcast every week, and you need to be repurposing it on all the social media platforms, turning it into quotes, doing audiograms and sound bites. You need to be on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, oh my gosh, you would be so overwhelmed. And I don't even do all that stuff now. I don't do half of that stuff right now. I do what works best for me. And I do it in places where I know I will really connect to my audience. So that's really my gut reaction. If you've been podcasting for 3 to 6 months and you're thinking, I got this. I got this. I got my processes. There's a workflow to everything that I'm doing. Then maybe a video podcast could be something that you explore, but not right out of the gate. Not right out of the gate. Give yourself a chance to get some traction with your podcast. And by traction, I mean feel comfortable with what you're doing, with what you're creating, and not just feel like I'm behind. I'm constantly behind. I am just waiting to have it all figured out. I'm going to click my heels and everything will be, I hit the mic. Everything will be magically in its place the way that it's supposed to be. And it's not going to happen that way. It's going to feel very overwhelming. I don't know if y'all have seen this, but I have a podcast checklist. I'm trying to think if it's crystalprofit.com/podcast checklist. And this is literally everything that I do that goes into publishing an episode of my podcast. And I believe there was 38 steps for a solo show, and there was 52 if you have a guest. Now, if I were to add in video, holy moly, we're adding a lot. We would be closer to 50 steps for a solo show and probably 75. And by steps, I mean every single little detail, but you have to, those aren't just there because I felt like throwing it out there. It's literally every single step. And most of these, they're running on autopilot for me now because I've been doing this for a long time, but they are steps that a brand new podcaster needs to know and understand and be very methodical about so they don't forget. And I think that the checklist here, let me put it up here. Let me put it down here on the bottom. So podcast checklist for anybody that's never grabbed it. Let's see. Oh, I'm trying not to shake everything. It's the only thing. Are y'all on a wild ride here? Because anytime I put, I have my webcam attached to my standing desk, and anytime I start typing, it's just da, 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 da. Okay, so go look at the podcast checklist. And I didn't even talk about this in today's podcast episode. So you're getting extra bonus by hanging out with here with me live. But this podcast checklist is just the bare minimum of what you would need to do to produce a podcast similar to what I do. Now, I'm not saying I have it all figured out and I do it all correctly, or you even have to do it like me. I have so many students and members of this community that don't podcast the same way that I do. And I think that's fantastic. I think that you should do what works best for you and your schedule. But I just want you to know that in this checklist, it actually breaks down everything step by step by step. And if you wanted to add in a video component, you're going to have to figure that out in this checklist. Like, okay, do I need to do a mic check and a setup with my video stuff before I start recording? Or do I need to do that like the day of? Do I need to, tell my audience? Like, do I need to email them so they show up? Do I need to do a post on social media? Like, there's a lot of extra stuff that goes into creating a video podcast if you want to have an engaged audience while you're actually live. So, nuances, layers, like I always think of Shrek and Donkey. Well, ogres have layers. Onions have layers. Oh, you mean they stank? Oh, no. I'm just so dumb. So dumb. Such a great episode. Thank you for the shout out. Uh-oh. Y'all, Melanie. So, Melanie, if y'all don't know this, if you didn't hear on, let me see, it was 2 or 3 episodes ago, Melanie is one of my business besties. You can go listen to that episode of, it was a crosscast on the Heather Sager show, and we aired it on the Profit podcast, but Melanie is my live stream, like, lifeline. It's embarrassing to tell you how many times I've been like, I think I broke something. I need to message Melanie. I think that I'm doing this wrong. I got to call her. I got to see what's going on. Like, she is my lifeline, and she has something really cool coming up. So Mel, she's going to be live on her Facebook group, and I give her a big shout out in today's episode. Actually, if you go to, let me share over here. So we're going to spotlight you for a second, Melanie, especially, I don't know if you're still here, because I know you got to prep, because she's doing a live stream, but she is, hang on, let me hide this for one quick second. Not that one, this one. So she is down here. I should have put a pretty little picture of you, Mel, but I linked to her Facebook group, and, oh, y'all can't see that. That's super tiny. I linked to her Facebook group and her YouTube channel. Y'all should go follow her, because she goes live every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Central. She's Eastern time, but 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Central, 11 a.m. Pacific. Oh, I did it. I told y'all I'm working on my time zones. I'm like, I hope Mountain Time. I never mention you because I don't ever know. I'm like, is that 1 hour? I never know what that really is. So sorry, Mountain Time, if you feel like I'm leaving you out. It's on purpose because I don't know what it is. I can do Eastern, Central, Pacific. You're asking too much of me to go any further than that. I try. I really, really try. My international friends, y'all, you just, I love you, but I have no idea what time it is where you live. So y'all go check out Melanie. Go see what she's doing. She has something really cool planned for today's live stream. I know that. So 1 p.m. Central, go hang out with Melanie. She is a nut. She is so much fun to hang out with too. It's the reason why she's one of my business besties. So let's go back to, let me see. I saw some other comments here. So can you put it in the comments so we can click on it? Oh yeah, let me see. Duh. I don't know why, Miranda, I didn't think about doing this. I always forget because I think for a while, I don't know that I could put comments up here. So let me see. Let me see if I can add this. Let me see. And y'all, because it says it can't post comments in all the places. Okay. So it looks like it did it though. So that's the podcast checklist. Miranda, I put it in the comments. If you're still here hanging out with us, that's where you're going to find it. Yeah. Oh yeah. So it says an error occurred when I tried to do it on Facebook. So I don't know. Multitasking. Did you just call me a nut? I love it. Yes. You are a nut for sure. Y'all, if you want to know how to live stream a podcast, please go watch Melanie for the production value. And I know that's like not what her show is all about. She's not just someone who has really shiny, like cool, like fancy production things, but it's legit. Like she's got a countdown timer. She's got fancy music. She has this thing where she does a countdown timer on her screen, but it's transparent so you can see her behind it. I've asked her, at least 4 times. Like, how do you do this? And she's explained it to me like 4 times and I just haven't done it. So that's coming. That's coming. Don't worry. If you want to learn how to do the countdown timers and all the fancy things like the tickers and everything that we have going on here, please go follow Melanie because she has everything. Okay. So you can't post comments within StreamYard to groups, but everywhere else it works. Okay. Okay. So she's putting it up here for anyone to click on it. So see, she knows all these things, and she's a StreamYard expert, and like knows all the things that I don't know. So I love. Thank you for chiming in there, Mel. Yeah. Also, I've decided you're a business bestie, so let's be friends. I love this, Miranda. Absolutely, absolutely, we can be friends. Oh, this is so fun. So I'm gonna go back up here. So Jay is in the house. If y'all have not listened, Jay is our social media expert that actually lives here in Houston. Jay, we need to get together for some coffee for sure. We need to make that happen. But Jay was recently on the podcast too, where we talked about social media strategy and the ways that you can show up on your social media platforms in a way that really brings in your audience and helps you connect with them. And it was just such a fantastic conversation. So she says, great episode. I laugh when you called out the dirty laundry in the closet while filming. I'm telling you, like, this is the reason. Okay, so real fast, for anybody that's just like tuning in, if you're coming in late, I was explaining the reason why I was late to this live stream today is I got asked to be on a local show. It was here in Houston, and they were asking me about your values, and, you know, I said integrity, and they were like, well, what does that mean to you? And I said, the simple fact that I'm very real with my audience, and I tell them, I am surrounded by laundry right now when I'm recording in this closet because it's everywhere, and I have 3 kids, and I can't keep up with it. Y'all, I literally just caught up this weekend from spring break. Spring break was 2 weeks ago. And I have had piles. It's clean laundry. Okay, like let's be real, Jay. It's not dirty. It's clean laundry, but it's been unfolded in a mess. A huge pile of mess in my closet for a long time. So yeah. That is what integrity and just being, it's just totally real, y'all. If you come to my house, there's going to be some form of laundry somewhere not folded. It's just how it is. Hey, mama. So Nanette's my mom. I'm so shout out. She has the Edible Gardens podcast. You should go listen to it. I know I'm surprised she's here right now because she is in full blown planting and doing so many things out in the garden. If you want to know how, like, what should you be planting? What should be doing in your garden? Go follow her. Edible Gardens. She has a YouTube channel. Her Instagram, the pictures on Instagram are just, they're so good. So good. Yeah. What did you say? I've also decided, okay, I saw that one. So Miranda says, we're only like 5 hours away from each other in comfort outside of San Antonio. See if we're come this way. Okay. I've heard of Comfort. I didn't know that it was in San Antonio. I was actually thinking West Texas, like West Texas. I've heard of Comfort, but I don't know exactly. I'm going to have to look it up and see. So yeah, that's really fun. Oh my gosh, y'all. I have so much energy today. And for one, it wasn't really a good energy. It was oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. I'm forgetting 10 things. I'm trying to get my life together to, be on this TV spot that, she reached out to me, that one of the producers, or she was the production assistant director. I don't know. So Roma, if you're watching this, I'm totally butchering your title right now, but she reached out to me on Friday on LinkedIn. And she was like, are you free Monday or Tuesday? And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. Like, let's make this happen. And then I kind of lost a lot of things in translation of, it was actually supposed to be in the studio, but we made it virtual, and I hope it turned out. So, I took that energy and I really just poured it into that segment. I hope it turns out really cool, but I'm on fire today. Like, I feel like I need to go run. Like, I've been standing up since 9 a.m. I haven't sat down. I've been doing my live this way. I did the whole thing, and oh my gosh, yeah. Oh, so Miranda says, No way. It's between Bernie and Kerrville. It's tiny, tiny. Sorry, I'm distracting you now. No, it's okay. I'm going to look it up whenever we're done. And for anybody that's like watching this, you know you're from Texas when you can say Bernie and you know how to say it. The other one was Mahia. So like this is the test for all of you people that you're watching this and you don't live in Texas, but someone says they're from Texas. Okay, I'm totally going to post this in here. Ask them if they can pronounce these. Okay? Okay, hang on. I'm going to spell it wrong. Oh, what was the other one? There was another one that was like terrible to read, and you're like, how do I pronounce this? Okay, I'm gonna put these in the comments, and they may or may not pop up, but I want y'all to try to say them out loud. This is the test. Are you actually from Texas, or have you lived here for a while? If you are, you can pronounce the two cities that I just put in the comments. Hang on. I say cities. They're towns. Okay? They're towns. They're probably bigger than they used to be. But okay. Yeah, this is the other one. Okay. How do you think you would say that? I'm not going to say it yet. How do you think you would say that? Okay? This was a challenge, and I'm from Texas. I had a volleyball practice there when I was a sophomore in high school. That's a story for another day. I went on an international trip and played volleyball in Australia, and it was fabulous and awesome and all the things, but it's Pflugerville. Pflugerville. And yeah, so she said, I came from there. I did not know how to say that as a 16-year-old. I was like, I don't understand. Why is the P there if they're not going to say it, right? Why is it even there? Oh my gosh. Yeah. So let's go back to these. How do you think that you say them? I feel like I could have my own show about like Texas trivia and the things that people get really right and really wrong about Texas. So the first one, for anybody that's listening and you've ever said Mexia, no. It is Mahia. Yeah. Mahia. Yeah, but I don't need the one to like calling people out on how they say stuff because I say things really wrong all the time. But I'm just giving you, this is a lesson. See, I can't talk. A lesson in Texas today, okay? And then the next one is Waxahachie. Oh, it just makes me laugh a little bit and die inside when people try to pronounce it a lot harder than it is and they say Waxahachie or Waxachachi. I've heard some really, really weird ones before. So yeah, that's what it is. That's your Texas trivia for the day, for the week, like whatever. Yeah, Francis, I'm dying. Oh, I mean, this is fun. If this is entertaining you, Miranda, we can absolutely be friends. Yeah, if this is something. Okay, let's go back to what we were talking about, right? Because we were talking about video podcast. Yes, Miranda, you are in trouble. You are in a timeout because we totally went down a different rabbit hole. Yeah, that's how I felt being in your show. I was really pumped afterwards. Oh my gosh. So here's another fun behind the scenes. I love telling people the behind the scenes of like what goes on when I'm recording the podcast. So Jay has, and I cannot remember the name of your sweet baby dog, but her dog in the middle of us recording was like, Mama shut the door. Like Mama shut the door on me and her dog wanted to come in so bad. And it was just like, oh my, like scratching on the door. And I think like it wanted to start barking and it was whining because the dog could not be in there with its mama. Like it was so sad. And so she was like, can I just let I was like, yes, it's fine. And so she let her dog in. Dog comes, lays down right next to her and like there's not a peep out of the dog for the rest of the episode. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I think a lot more people experience these things, but not a lot of people talk about them. Everyone just wants to hear like it's perfectly polished and there was no mistakes and there was no issues. And I'm like, I don't care if your dog, I remember Tasha Tasha Cochran, when she was on the show, her dog started barking in the background, and I was like, it's fine. It's really fine. And she's like, no, like, are you sure? Are you sure? I'm like, yes, it's totally fine. If your dog barks, if your kid screams, if the Amazon delivery person comes while we're recording, like, I want this to become a norm because it lowers, I don't want to say it lowers the standard, but it lowers the bar of the pressure that you put on yourself, right? Like, maybe one day we'll all be these $1 million podcasters that have these beautiful studios and like all these things, but I'm totally fine recording in my house. And what happens in my house? The dog barks, the kids scream, there's a Nerf war upstairs. All the kids are at school today, so there's not one happening right now. But you get what I'm saying? Like, if, I was talking earlier in the group on Monday. If you're not part of our Facebook group, you should absolutely join us. But it's the Profit Podcast online community. But I put a post up yesterday and we were talking about leadership. Like, who are your leaders? Are you being a good leader? What makes a great leader? What leaders should you be following? And for me, I want to be a leader that shows up as myself. And I talk about my laundry, which going back to Jay's comment, it's not dirty laundry, okay? It's clean laundry that has not been folded and put away. And it's most likely very wrinkled in my floor. I throw it in the dryer, fluff it back up, and then and then we eventually put it up one day. But, I just love this idea that y'all can get a peek into who I am as a person, right? We can't hang out all day long on Instagram. Like, that's not my idea of a fun day, is to document every single thing that I'm doing all day. I think that kind of gets cumbersome for a creator, but also for the audience. It's like, man, I'm watching someone else live their life and I'm not really living my own. But I think that sharing pieces of who you are, the humanity that you have, is so important, because that is what connects you. Like, me and Miranda, like, we're sitting here going back and forth about all these silly towns in Texas and how you pronounce them. We didn't even talk about the ridiculous towns, like the names that I'm just like, that I grew up, okay, here's fun trivia. Okay, I grew up in Athens, Texas. So shout out to my East Texas folks. I grew up in Athens, Texas. And whenever I would tell people I'm from Athens, they would say, oh, Athens, Greece? I would just look at them like, can you tell from this accent that I am from Athens, Greece? No. But down the road, we had a town, and this is where I'm not kidding, 100% straight up. You can Google it. I grew up down the street, about 15, 20 minutes away from a town called Gun Barrel City, Texas. And I never thought anything about it until I was an adult and I moved away from home, and I was like, huh, that's interesting that we have a town name down the road, Gun Barrel City. So yeah, Texas, like, we do some funky things, right? We have some funky town names, and I don't even know where we're going with this anymore. Like, we're totally, yeah. Miranda says, sold, we'll get back on track. We've lost, we're off the rails. It's totally fine. But going back to, this is actually, let's tie it all back together. If you're doing a video podcast, this is where you have to decide, are you going to engage with your audience? Like what I'm doing right now. Because I don't know that what we're talking about here live, or if you're watching on the replay, I don't know that it would translate the same if you were just listening to this as a podcast. I don't know. For my audience, I don't know that they would really love this aspect of it. Maybe some people would enjoy it. Maybe others would be like, oh, that wasn't very focused. She got off track. She started talking about crazy Texas trivia. But I think that these are the decisions that you have to think about when you are creating your content. Do you want a video podcast? Well, you have to ask yourself, do I want to engage with my audience while I'm live? Do I want to just talk to my podcast audience? Do I want to teach? Do I want to just, engage with, like, there's so many questions that I want you to ask yourself. So go listen to today's podcast episode. That is your call to action. If you want to look at the podcast checklist, that's below. Go check it out, crystalprofit.com /podcast checklist. That'll be very helpful in helping you decide if you were to start a video podcast, where would those steps fall into play? Like, where going down the pipeline would you need to add in and bake in certain steps that would work well for your show? Oh, y'all, that's all I have to share with you today. What a crazy video podcast, if you want to call it that. So some people call this a video podcast. I wouldn't, but that's my take on it, So if you wanted my opinion on video podcasts, there you go. Go listen to today's episode. Listen to the pros and cons and the things that you should consider. It's about 30 minutes long. I haven't really been telling everybody because sometimes my interviews will be about an hour to 45 minutes to an hour. And then some of my solo episodes are between 25 and probably 35 minutes. I typically don't go like a 45-minute solo episode is a rarity. I have them, but it's usually about 30 minutes. So y'all have a fantastic Taco Tuesday, and I will talk to you later. Bye, y'all.